years ago this week, one of the top hits in the USA was Anytime by a former computer scientist who got into music as a way of relaxing after a long day of dealing with bytes and bits. I'll have details and that top hit after this.
It's AT40 with the Shadoe. And next is a song that features a singer who never even planned on a music career. There he was in Alabama, 22 years old, studying computer science, when he started singing demos just for fun. He says, I think I did the first one March last year, and by June I had a deal. I almost feel guilty that it happened so quickly because I wasn't looking for it. But now that he's in music full-time, Brian McKnight says, I'm not going to jump off a bridge if this isn't the biggest record of all time, because in my mind, it's just the first of many statements I hope to make throughout my career. Well, this statement, with Vanessa Williams, did pretty well. 5 weeks at number 2. Now at number 28 on American Top 40, Love Is.
Climbing 4 notches to number 30 is Brian McKnight, an artist who's multi-talented. He wrote, produced, arranged, and performed all the vocal and instrumental tracks on this song. Back at 1, Brian McKnight.
Number 28!
Rising 2 notches as a performer who wasn't content with being a singer, a songwriter, a musician, and a producer. He also became a TV star with a recurring role on the sitcom Sister Sister. Here's Brian McKnight with Back at 1. We're counting down the hottest hits in the nation on American Top 40. Slipping 2 notches to number 10 is a musician who says he can play 9 instruments, but he's best at 4. Piano, lead guitar, bass guitar, and percussion. Here's one-man band Brian McKnight with Back at 1.
It's undeniable.
Counting down the hits with Casey Kasem.
I'm Ed McMann for Casey Kasem. We're counting down the hottest hits in the nation on American Top 40. Rising a notch to number 39 on AT40 is Brian McKnight, a hot star with a cool wardrobe. His favorite designers, Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, and Armani. Here's the fashionable Brian McKnight with 6, 8, 12.
We're playing the biggest hits in the USA by the biggest stars in the world. Well, now we're up to the latest hit for Brian McKnight, a star who says his teenage years were a struggle between sports and the piano, until he discovered the man he calls the Michael Jordan of music. Brian McKnight grew up in Orlando, Florida, where his passion was seriously divided between 2 worlds. On the one hand, he says, I was a flat-out jock running track, starting on the football and basketball teams. That was the public Brian McKnight that his fellow students knew and admired. But Brian lived a double life, keeping his existence as a musician strictly to himself. He says, no one knew I could sing. They also didn't know that he spent much of his spare time studying the jazz musicians he refers to as the masters: Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum, Woody Herman, Wynton Marsalis. For Brian, the contest between music and sports was a tie. And then he discovered Stevie Wonder. Brian says Stevie is the Michael Jordan of music. His vocals are almost athletic. I call him a hard singer, someone who can sing gently but has the power and range to do whatever he wants. I love that combination. Well, Stevie convinced Brian that music was an athletic discipline all its own, and that was the tiebreaker. Climbing 2 notches to number 37 on our survey, here's Brian McKnight flexing his musical muscles on 6, 8, 12. 4 years ago this week, one of the top hits in the USA was by a former computer scientist who got into music as a way of relaxing after a long day of dealing with bytes and bits. The number cruncher is Brian McKnight, and he was majoring in computer science at Oakwood University in Alabama. The courses were very stressful, and after a long day staring at a computer screen, he'd get together with friends to unwind. They'd write and record songs together for the fun of it. But that fun turned serious when a demo they made turned up on the desk of a record executive in New York. He hired Brian McKnight as a backup singer, and that led to one of the top hits in the USA 4 years ago this week. Here's Anytime.